Hello everybody, Average Gamer here. Welcome to a quick little video on Supreme Ruler Ultimate. You'll notice, bottom left hand corner here, 9.0.73. We had a patch. So, what was in this patch? Wasn't really that much. There's a couple things. What I mean literally, I think a 10. The first one is Trump DLC now works properly on Mac. Emplacements can now be built and can be garrisoned in modern maps under the transport screen. They're going to maintain Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi as the ISIS leader when starting as the region. They've done some relationship changes. In relation to content fixes, they've removed non-nuclear silo ICBMs from the equipment list. The Trump Wall and Trump Tower are now part of the quote-unquote Trump ideology tech. There's been small changes to the aircraft tech, and no Syrian troops are in ISIS territory when the game starts in the modes that associate ISIS on the map. They've also changed volatility, so high volatility now is more likely to be applied against bordering countries. Before it was just generically spread around the world, so you'd have like something like the United States declare war on Malaya or something like that, or even Singapore declare war on, say, Libya, for no apparent reason whatsoever. Just because everything got degraded enough and one found that they had that bit of a advantage over the other. Now that won't happen as much. Now it's all based on border friction, basically, is the way they've kind of set it up. They now set up create units event will only create reserve units if the base ownership matches the region. Wait, what? If base ownership? I have no idea what that means. Units. Oh, I think that's maybe if you don't control a territory, maybe? I'll have to double check and look into that. And then units now respects the known units on startup for day 0 and fast forward. So, overall, what's basically this patch going to do? Not much, to be honest with you. People with Macs obviously can now run the Trump DLC. Trump stuff is now under the Trump ideology. No big deal. Some content fixes with the new scenarios. A couple things I would like to see change in the next patch, hopefully. The fix to the bug associated with the building queue. After a certain amount of time, units, for some reason, will back up. We've got about 90 some odd building facilities for each of the different facilities available to us. And for some reason, we always have at least 2 or 3 in reserve. Now that is excluding, obviously, the... Actually, no. Yeah, that's other than our Navy, because even our Navy is using up multiple different locations. So, definitely looked into that, or at least kind of give us a reason why. Like, if it's using one at more than one location, give us the ability maybe to swap locations. That's the first thing I would like to see changed. Second thing I would like to see changed is the support for alliances. As you're seeing in our playthrough, alliances are not that supportive. They'll now, if it was, say, set on a percentage basis, so if a country is a certain size, not the actual alliance country, or even the ally country is a certain size or military size, while the ally is a certain size and military size, so say a percentage-wise. So say, for example, the United States is, say, 20% of their overall country is their military. And then it looks at the square kilometers of that military and kind of sets that as a basis point. And then say when we go to war in Malaya, they don't have that large of a military. And they've got a large country in comparison to their military. Like, say, their military is set to 2% of their overall square footage, their square kilometers of their country. So the United States would do what they can to bump it up to 20. Whether that be selling units or even sending reinforcements. I kind of wish there was a lend-lease in the game as well, where you can actually just lend troops over to said country. That wouldn't be too bad. Basically where you say, hey, listen, these troops are going to be under your command, and just send them over. So it really wouldn't be a lend-lease, because lend-lease is, we're going to build these tanks, here, have them. And then when you're done with them, when the war's over, give them back. So instead, volunteers then, I guess you could say. But like, we have a whole bunch of volunteers to come fight for you. Here they come. And they're under that command for that country. That country is responsible for, say, 40% of the supplies, while the parent country is in control of the remaining 60% of the supplies and reinforcement. That's something I would like to see. Trading is pretty good. It's rather realistic, though. I would like to maybe have the ability to tweak things a little bit differently, like domestic prices a little differently. Like right now, it's just a slide, right? You change it to percentage or whatever. I would like to have the ability to kind of see a little bit more in depth into production of of goods, a little bit more. Like I want to know exactly why it costs me, $10 to produce 1 ton of rubber, versus, another. Well, why? Or then I also want to know why the international prices say $5 or $15 or $20 per ton. I'd like to know why it is. I'd also like the ability to influence the international prices a lot more. Right now, there's not really a big way that you can do it other than trying to flood the market. But then you kind of screw yourself over, right? Then the overall price drops. I would like the ability to access some graphs maybe to show what the overall curve is, or we'll say pattern with international goods. So, for example, if goods are going up or down, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Like if you can actually see like a chart showing that the price of oil is going up or down or whatever. Kind of even have it like a stock ticker almost, or even have it just as one of your ministers just fires up a thing saying, "Hey, just so you know, over the last week, petroleum prices have gone up. International oil prices have gone up 10%, while our gas prices have gone down by 5%, and we've made a net." And then say whether it's positive or negative for us, right? Like if ours has gone down 5%, what was it before? So some information will be good. That way we don't have to constantly be going back to the goods, seeing how we're producing versus the world and try to go from there type thing. More battle groups. I would like the ability to kind of control battle groups just a little bit better. Missiles as well. I would like to be able to tell, when I tell missiles to auto-deploy, I would like to be able to say, hey, I want you to auto-deploy, but I want you to auto-deploy to the following battle groups. Battle group A, B, C, D, what have you. Maybe a little bit of better control over the AI when you set the AI for military control. For example, I want to be able to be like, okay, here is our the following theater. I want this to have a minimum of the following amount of units, and I want it to have a defensive posture, offensive posture, border friction posture where we place a fair amount of troops near the border, but not quite near the border. I would also like to see the ability to have war games where you actually can tell your military, hey, I want you to take 2% of our reserves, activate them, go to the following battle zone, and conduct a war game. And have a simulated war game, and actually have a bunch of troops there, and then have actual international effects. So, for example, as China, have a war game with our navy off the coast of Japan, and have that increase tensions. Tension. I would like to see the fact that it says country likes this or doesn't like this. What I would like to see is the tension that we're causing and why we're causing it, so that I can actually fix that, so I can have an actual effect with what I can do. So, for example, I'm seeing Japan really doesn't like us because of our military buildup. Okay, what can I do? Kind of a tooltip. This is what you can do to kind of affect Japan. Like, well, if you reduce your military by X percentage, Japan will start to like you a little bit more. Some sort of feedback, so you know, right? Because this game, very, very well in depth. A lot of things you had to learn, a lot of reading, a lot of people have done tests and modifications, and they've broken down the game itself and all the files to understand and learn how the game works, and a little bit more feedback, right? Tooltips. Be like, hey, well, I'm going to hover over Japan. You'll tell me, yeah, okay, they hate you, right? Far left, big red, big red dot. Okay, well, why? I know I've gone to war with Russia, but, like, for example, they attacked me. I annexed them, yes. So I know you don't like me because I took Russia, annexed them, and then kind of walked away. What I would like to know is, what do I need to do to make you happy as Japan? And then you should be able to also negotiate with them a little bit. Kind of be like, hey, what can we do to influence, like a positive influence option, where just generically it kind of opens a dialogue with a country and sits back and goes, hey, how you doing? It's Wednesday. I know on Wednesday, you do your usual whatever. I just thought I'd swing by, whatever. Because countries obviously also put out their budgets every year or every couple years or whatever. We should be able to put in a budget and have other countries comment on it, right? If we say, hey, we've got $2 trillion this year, we're going to try and save as much money as we can. We have no debt. So one of the things we're going to be doing is maybe piling money into other countries, making them, more stable. There's nothing better than having countries turn around to you and say, hey, do you want some money? No catch-22. Just have some money, but you have to spend it on. Well, actually, there obviously will be catch there, though. But hey, spend it on whatever you want, but we prefer that you spend it on, socioeconomic tech, stuff like that. Some way that you can affect the game more diplomatically instead of military. Being able to annex territories via diplomacy. If you could say, put special forces in another country and have them in some way, shape, or form, destabilize that country, so then you can then annex them. I'm not going to say Crimea, but yeah. So that would be a thing, right? The ability to annex a country diplomatically via some sort of methods, via just making them happy and making arrangements with them and sheer intimidation. Anschluss of Austria, for example. Or through just sheer, I like you, you like me, let's get together. Like all the city-states of Russia of Germany, prior to Germany becoming Germany. All the countries basically all united together to create the German Empire. Under, I think it was Bismarck? I don't quite remember, but something along those lines. So that would be something. Multiple different options. An ability to increase your military planning. Actually sit back and actually draw on a map, say, this is where I want to move, this is where I want to attack, this is the things I want to take, and all that stuff. Now, the computer doesn't have to follow that. It's just maybe something for you to be like, okay, so here are my divisions. I'm going to group them up into army groups. So, army group A, B, C, D, whatever. But also have the ability to apply those troops to those groups and tell those groups, I want you to hit this town, this city. I want you, my airborne to capture this, and this bridge, and slowly go through things and kind of tell them what to do. Right? That would be something. That could be Supreme Ruler 2. I don't know. I mean, we've had so many different Supreme Rulers. They're all based around, to be honest with you, the same game, the same engine, the same everything. Could there be a Supreme Ruler 2 coming out soon? Probably not. You never know what these guys are planning to do in the future. I wasn't even thinking that they were going to be releasing a patch, but there you go. So anyways, that was the review. That was the patch review for 9.073, and a couple things I would like to see in future patches and maybe even future changes. Until next time, see you guys on the battlefield. Bye bye.